All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Genevieve Jones-Wright. I am a co-founder and the executive director of Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance, or MoGo. We are here tonight to celebrate our very first year, 1 year of community empowerment. And so I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I thought it was just so appropriate for us to start with that video. One, because it's fun, and I like to think that I am a fun individual, but because it came from a community member as well. And what we strive to do at MoGo is to center community. One thing that I said, along with Andrea St. Julian, who is the other co-founder of MoGo, was that we wanted to not tell the community what we wanted. We wanted the community to tell us what they needed and what issues needed to be addressed. And so at MoGo, we believe in not just being community advocates ourselves, but empowering the community to be advocates for themselves. And so one thing that we strive for is to not do things for the community or on behalf of the community. We certainly don't want to do things to the community, but we want to do things along with the community. And so that starts with community empowerment. So it is my distinct honor to be here tonight celebrating 1 year of community empowerment. There are so many people that I can thank tonight, and you're going to hear some thank yous. But first, I'm going to bring up the other co-founder of MoGo. It is Women's History Month, and I think it is apropos, although we didn't plan this, that we launched MoGo as two Black women lawyers, knowing that our work was going to be centered on racial and social justice, and that we were going to be unapologetic about naming things as they are. So the work that we do every day is the work to hold government accountable to all people, and especially those who are disenfranchised, those who are on the margins of society, those who have suffered injustices historically. I'm going to bring up Andrea St. Julian now, and I'm sure she's going to be able to tell you more about the work. But just know that tonight is a celebration, and we bring you right along with us because there would be no MoGo without the community. So thank you so very much for being here with us. How are you doing tonight, Miss St. Julian, as we celebrate our very first year?
I am doing extremely well. I'm doing extremely well. Thank you. Thank you so much, Genevieve. Your words were just right on the money. And I thank you for that. And it kind of reminds me of one of the things that I felt was most important, and I wanted to make sure that was a part of MoGo. This was years ago, before you and I had gotten together to co-found MoGo. I was reading an article in an African-American journal, and the title was a question. It was, have lawyers done more to help or hurt the movement? And I was like shocked. I was like, how could lawyers hurt the movement? I didn't understand how that. So I, read this article eagerly, and it pointed out a truth that I hadn't really realized, that oftentimes when attorneys come into a social movement space, everyone cedes their power to that attorney. And at that moment, I said, I am never going to create a space that requires people to cede their power to the attorney. And when I am in a social movement space, I will not allow people to cede their power to me. And also that everything that I do is going to have to be centered on empowering people. And that is the core philosophy that Genevieve and I agree on in terms of what MoGo is about. So I do have to thank people before I give it back to Genevieve. And the first person I want to thank is the late Dr. Willie Blair. He was a great supporter of MoGo, very proud of MoGo, understood MoGo, and was thrilled when we founded MoGo. I also want to thank all of MoGo's board members. They've been partners in growing MoGo and moving MoGo forward. I am also deeply grateful to MoGo's staff, all of whom began working with MoGo full-time for free on a volunteer basis, right? They believed so deeply in what MoGo was doing. They gave themselves so selflessly to MoGo. And so Diane Kim, Connor Robinson, Brian Sigwa, Dave Carruthers, I am deeply grateful for your selfless creation of MoGo. I also want to thank my family, my mother, Jean, my father, Grant, my sister, Tanya, my brother, Grant, and my sister's husband, Michael. They have spent many hours making sure that MoGo became the success that it really has become. But the person that I have to say I am most grateful to is Genevieve Jones-Wright. Genevieve, when I approached her about MoGo, did not hesitate, and she has been a true partner and has grown MoGo in just a year to an organization beyond what I could have even dreamed of. And so, Genevieve, I thank you. We are sisters in arms. I couldn't be more grateful to you. And you, and as I told you, only months after MoGo was founded, thank you for helping me realize my dream of empowering the community. And with that, I will give it back to you, Genevieve.
Well, with that, I'm going to say I'm not going to let you give up the proverbial mic just yet. Because before we launched MoGo, you went on a listening tour. And I think that's really important for the community to know that an entire year before we actually formally launched, you went to the community and you mentioned Dr. Blair, right? We lost a giant with his passing. And he was extremely excited about MoGo. And he wasn't the only person. And they were excited because we went to them and had asked if there was an organization, what would you want it to do? What would you want it to look like? And obviously, we found that there were gaps in support for our community members, and that community members suffered a lot of injustices, and people really wanted to hold the government accountable. So can you just talk a little bit about our goal around holding the government accountable?
Yeah. So, through the work that I've done and that I've done with you, Genevieve, it became more and more apparent that there was a real disconnect between what people wanted and needed from their government and what their governments did. And, being who we are, Genevieve, we thought, well, this isn't right. And so we have to make sure that the government is held accountable to the needs and wants of the community. And so that's what we wanted MoGo to do. We want MoGo to empower people to hold governments accountable and say, we voted you in to do a certain job and you're not doing it, And when they're not doing it, we're going to step up and say, you're not doing what's best for the community. And, you need to change course. And so yeah, that's what we started out doing. But yeah, Genevieve, I'll let you talk about all the specifics because you've been doing a fantastic job as executive director. I am amazed every time I see what you're doing. And yeah, and I'm excited for everybody to hear about that.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. Of course, we could not have this celebration without you as my dear fellow co-founder and as the board president. So thank you so much for your leadership, your vision, and all the things that you do for MoGo. Thank you so very much. Please, please stay around. Keep them dancing shoes on if you have them on. If they're not on, make sure they're next to you because we are going to celebrate as MoGo does. All right? All right. So we talked about holding the government accountable, which is a very big part of the work that we do. And we know that that is a very big job, especially when we're talking about holding the government accountable to all people. Usually that means the folks who have the time to come to city council meetings, although COVID has made that a little easier. But traditionally, accountability and access to democracy has been something for a chosen few. And honestly, even with what we're seeing right now today in San Diego, it's very hard to see elected officials who want to be held accountable, who want transparent and open government. All we have to do is look to some of the conversations that we heard just this week. But I am so blessed to have a dear friend that I not only call my friend, my sister, but also my council member. And she is here with us tonight to give us some words. And you all know her, so I don't have to introduce her. I just want to present my dear sister, Councilmember Monica Montgomery-Steppe.
Thank you so much, Genevieve. You know, everything you do is a success, and everything you do, I love to celebrate. So I am here to just stop by and proclaim March 7th. There you go. MoGo Day in the 4th District. So I wanted this to be a surprise. I hope it stayed a surprise for you and Andrea, but I want to read the entire thing because I think it's important. It won't be too long, guys, but this organization has been doing incredible, much needed work, and you know, accountability is key to a successful democracy. And so I want to be here to celebrate you all and the work that you do and the community in which you serve. So I will just read this real quick. It's a proclamation from the city of San Diego. Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance, MoGo Day, March 7, 2021. Whereas on March 7, 2020, Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance was launched to hold government accountable to the people. Whereas as a legal impact organization dedicated to restructuring government, MoGo's free legal services and advocacy efforts have been crucial during its inaugural year as the pandemic unfolded for our region. And whereas MoGo was founded by 2 Black women lawyers who have dedicated their lives and careers to secure racial equality, social justice, and greater access to quality education. And whereas MoGo works to make our society better by eliminating barriers to full inclusion due to racism for every member of society. And whereas the mission of MoGo is to promote good governance, engage in litigation and various forms of advocacy that will make government more just and fully accountable to all people, particularly those who have been marginalized. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by San Diego Councilmember Monica Montgomery-Steppe, for and on behalf of the people of the 4th District, does hereby declare March 7, 2021 to be MoGo Day in the 4th District of the city of San Diego. So congratulations, you all, and I will drop this off to you. Thank you.
Let me tell you, yes, it did remain a surprise. And I am sure that all of that clapping and cheering and applause is just as much about you being our beloved People's Council member as it is about your recognition of MoGo. So thank you so much. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I always say that when we launched, we had no clue we were going to be thrust head first into a pandemic. And it really sharpened the lens through which we do the work that is centered on racial and social justice. COVID-19 has acted as a magnifying glass, showing those inequities. And you've been there every single step of the way. You were there at our launch. You're not afraid to be held accountable. More than that, you ask us to hold you accountable. I've never seen a representative like you in our government where you don't have to, but you explain why you voted. You're not afraid to stand up. You know why you did things. And I just salute you so much. We love you. We honor you. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our celebration.
Absolutely. No other place to be.
Oh man, y'all, we got a day. March 7th, 2021, MoGo Day in the 4th District. That is wonderful. Let me tell you, when we talk about the work that we do, that is the work to achieve racial and social justice, we recognize that we cannot do it alone. And so we have many, many partners in the work. And I am just so proud to be a part of work that is being done in coalition. MoGo is, of course, a member of the Trust SD Coalition, the Transparent and Responsible Use of Surveillance Technology, San Diego Coalition. And we've had many victories on that front when we're talking about holding the government accountable as to surveillance technology that is used and things that were hidden from even our city officials, and making transparency of government be a real thing and holding the government accountable and asking for oversight. But we're also a member of the Coalition for Police Accountability and Transparency. And more than that, more than just being a member of CPAT, which is facilitated by the ACLU of San Diego and Imperial County, I really honor the ACLU as my big sister organization. And I know that they say, no, but it's true. We are a partnership in every single way. We are a sisterhood in every single way. And it is my pleasure to bring my other dear sister in the law and in other ways to the stage, Miss Christy Hill. And I'm going to give her the floor to just talk about the work that we do and whatever else she wants to talk about. And I also want to say that the ACLU has been just a tremendous partner on so many levels. And you all were there from the very start at our launch and even being a champion sponsor at that launch. But I want to take the time to say very publicly that I appreciate you personally. I appreciate Norma personally. I appreciate David Loy personally. I appreciate the organization that you all are. You're dedicated and you are committed to the work. And I'm just very humbled every time I can partner with you all in the work. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of this, because we could not have had it any other way.
Thank you, Genevieve, and congrats on 1 year. Happy MoGo Day. That's exciting. We are just so grateful for the partnership of MoGo this past year and your leadership in the community that existed, before MoGo and has only grown since. And so as members in CPAT, this past year in the summer, we saw that following the killing of George Floyd, that our local law enforcement leaders, rushed to ban the carotid restraint, which was a good step, but we knew that that wasn't enough, that it wasn't enough to just agree to stop choking our community, and that we wanted more. And so CPAT, based on feedback from community members over the years, developed a set of policy recommendations called Police Accountability Now. And those recommendations include decriminalizing low-level offenses, divesting from the police budget and investing in community-driven, non-law enforcement interventions to respond to crises that we know the police should not be responding to, like folks that are experiencing homelessness, people that are experiencing a mental health crisis. We also support the work that MoGo, Women Occupy San Diego, and San Diegans for Justice started in the city of San Diego with an independent commission on police practices, and under the leadership of Councilmember Montgomery-Steppe, we saw pass with overwhelming support from members in San Diego this past November. We want to see that in every city and in our county. And then finally, we want to, ensure that the vision of AB 392 is realized, that there are strong de-escalation and use of force policies that are prioritizing our community members' lives. And then the last piece that we are focused on this year is passing a law called PROTECT, Preventing Over-Policing Through Equitable Community Treatment. And we are proud to say that Councilmember Montgomery-Steppe is leading the charge in the city of San Diego to pass this important piece of policy that would prevent police from stopping and searching people without having probable cause. It would seek to end pretext stops. And we know that these types of stops are disproportionately used on Black and Brown communities. And so we want to end the stops and look forward to continuing to work with MoGo to do that, and with the city of San Diego, and to see that pass throughout the county, because we know that until all of our communities feel safe, no one feels safe. And so that is the work coming up this season. And I'll put in the chat a link if other folks want to get involved. You can go to bit.ly/in-the-stops to send an email to your elected representatives, letting them know that you support the work of CPAT, of MoGo in this way. And yeah, so that's what's coming up. And I'll end there, Genevieve.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to work with you, and we are going to get there. And I know that we're going to get there because we are relentless.
Very much so.
And we have to be. And so it's just an honor, and it's really beautiful to work in coalition and in partnership with you. You are an amazing mind. And so anytime I get to sit on a panel with you, I'm always just in awe about the thoughts that you bring, but you bring more than just thoughts and strategy, you bring action. And I love you for that. And so I want to say very publicly, I love you, my dear sister, and I can't wait to see what we continue to do in this next year.
Same. Thank you, Genevieve. Happy MoGo Day.
Thank you. I don't think that's ever going to get old, you all. Happy MoGo Day. I'm loving that. Thank you so much, Councilmember Montgomery-Steppe. Yes, that was a complete surprise to me. Well, the work that we have cut out for us is a lot of work. And so the theme of tonight, certainly, as you have gathered, is that we cannot do the work alone. And we don't even want to do the work alone, because the work is for all of us to do. And so it is my pleasure to introduce to you all our very first hire for staff attorney, Mr. Brandon Sigwa, because let me tell you, being the only attorney on staff while wearing the ED hat and the fundraising hat and the supervisor's hat, along with doing all of the legal work, can be taxing. But as a growing organization, it makes me very happy to say that in our very first year, we were able to add to the team a dedicated staff attorney. Yeah, he's from LA. I'm going to forgive him for that, but he is amazing. So I want to allow Mr. Brandon Sigwa the opportunity to introduce himself to the MoGo community.
Greetings, good people. My name is Brandon Christopher Sigwa. I am the first staff attorney for Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I got my undergraduate degree at a little university in the Bay Area called University of California, Berkeley. I got my law degree from Loyola Law School in Los Angeles, and I moved to San Diego shortly after passing the bar, with my wife and 2 beautiful sons. And it's actually through my wife that I was connected with MoGo. After years of serving as a litigation attorney, my wife passed a social media post about MoGo asking for volunteer attorneys. And I actually knew Genevieve Jones-Wright through the community and through various networks, and was able to connect with the organization and start doing work for them as a volunteer. Jen tapped me on the shoulder earlier this year and gave me the opportunity to serve in this role. And I can tell you that I'm beyond excited for the work that MoGo has coming for you and for the community. I look forward to serving you all. Thank you.
Mr. Brandon Sigwa, and anyone who is a native San Diegan knows exactly why I said what I said about LA, because LA really believes we want to be like LA. We don't. Now, on the progressive front, LA is leading. They just took our wonderful chief of probation, but I can tell you that because of the work that MoGo is doing with the ACLU, with Disability Rights California, with the Singleton Law Firm, and with other civil rights organizations, we are on LA's heels, and we will be leading very, very soon. So you hold me to that. San Diego will be leading on this front. Now, it is also my pleasure to let you all know that within this first year, we took on a great task and we formed another partnership. And this time it was formed with the federal defenders and with the Bail Project. Here to tell you a little more about the Freedom Fund is Mr. Connor Robinson, a very critical and integral part of the work that we do at MoGo.
Hi, community advocates. As you know, our courts work better for you if you're guilty and rich than if you're innocent but poor. And nowhere is this clearer than with our cash bail system. On any given day, the majority of people housed in our jails haven't been convicted of any crime. Many are there simply because they cannot pay bail. Meanwhile, San Diego County continues to have the highest jail mortality rate among the 6 largest counties in California. And it's not even close. Given the way people are treated in San Diego's jails, it is an undeniable fact that innocent people are pleading guilty to simply attain freedom that should already be theirs. That's not justice. That's coercion. And unfortunately, our courts are all too happy with the results, because 90% of people take plea deals when they are forced to endure the indignity and the inhumanity of detention. In this context, bailing people out is necessary for community defense and empowerment. When defendants are released on bail, they can consult freely with their attorney and prepare for their defense as they continue living their life, which they have every right to do. Defendants out on bail are therefore much more likely to have their charges dropped and much less likely to plead guilty. That's why MoGo launched the Freedom Fund at the end of 2020 in partnership with the Federal Defenders of San Diego and the Bail Project. The Freedom Fund is a revolving bail fund, and as MoGo's first freedom advocate, I get to work with public defenders in San Diego's state and federal courts to help defendants pay bail and to get the support services they need to participate in their own defense and continue living their lives, again, as we all have the right to do. That's how it should be for everyone. So thank you for supporting Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance, and through MoGo, the Freedom Fund.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Gilberto Alejandro Cruz. Quiero agradecer, ¿verdad? A la asociación MoGo y a todo el equipo que está involucrado, en especial a la abogada Jennifer y al investigador Jesse, porque ellos me han ayudado bastante. Tuve un caso muy particular donde había una persona pues que me estaba dando muchos problemas y entré en una situación en que inclusive caí en un estado depresivo por la cuestión del problema que tenía, en el que pues era algo que la verdad pues no iba a poder resolver yo por mis propios medios, ¿verdad? Hablé con la abogada Jennifer y ella al momento de escuchar mi historia me brindó todo su apoyo y me dio esperanzas para ganar el caso que estaba yo peleando. Y aparte de eso, quiero decir, ¿verdad?, que tiene mucho conocimiento, tiene mucha experiencia, dedicación a su trabajo junto con Jesse, ¿verdad? Y lo que más, ¿verdad?, estoy agradecido con ellos es de que el interés realmente que ellos tienen por ayudar a personas que no tenemos los recursos para pagar un abogado. Entonces quiero agradecer, ¿verdad?, a las personas que los apoyan a ellos, ¿verdad?, para que los sigan apoyando, ¿verdad?, darles los recursos que necesiten, ¿verdad?, porque ellos están llevando una causa y los proyectos que ellos tienen son proyectos, ¿verdad?, de no lucro, y que están ayudando a personas como en mi caso, ¿verdad? Y quiero agregar, ¿verdad?, que no solamente cuando se terminó mi caso, sino que mi caso penal, ¿verdad?, también se me complicó un poco, entonces influenció mucho el que todavía, a pesar de que ya no era responsabilidad de ellos, siguieron dándome orientación y asesoramiento. Entonces quiero agradecer mucho a las personas, ¿verdad?, a MoGo y a todos al equipo, ¿verdad?, a Jesse, al investigador Jesse, a Attorney Jennifer y a todos los involucrados. Gracias.
Well, as you can see, Mr. Cruz really needed support. And as I was saying before, I never knew just how much work was needed in our county as it related to due process and how it was being denied to so many people. Through Mr. Cruz's case, and he's actually here with us tonight, and I just want to thank you so much, Mr. Cruz, for trusting us to defend your livelihood, because that's what it was about. And we learned that Mr. Cruz was denied a right to make a living based on false allegations. And so he not only lost his taxi license and was in a shelter for unsheltered people, unable to make money to support himself, he also found himself with a criminal case. And we were able to win his appeal. He was given back his taxi license. And we just saw throughout the process that he was denied a lot of the rights that we take for granted, things that would never happen in criminal courts as a public defender for life. I was just appalled at some of the injustices that he faced as it just related to calling witnesses in his behalf, witnesses who had come with him to testify. They were denied. They were unable to testify. And so one of the pictures that you saw was the witness that came with him 2 times that was not able to testify, but we brought this witness to the appeal and he was able to testify. Mr. Cruz was denied translation services. And so the entire, the hearings, the interviews were conducted in English, which is not his first language. And in his appeal, we were able to bring him a wonderful court certified interpreter, a woman that I love dearly. And she came and she assisted. And we won his appeal. I can't say that enough, but it didn't stop there. Because the work that MoGo does is not about winning a victory for one person. It's about changing policy. And so here's where you come in. I'm stating out loud that we sent recommendations for policy changes to the Sheriff's Department that oversees licensing and registration in San Diego County of taxi licenses and other things. And they sent us back a letter saying we're going to look into those things. We know that in San Diego, that is a common refrain. We're going to look into something. They're going to look into whether we need police reform, despite all of the data, all of the studies, all of the numbers that tell us that Black and brown people are treated differently by the police, that we're stopped more, that we're searched more, that they don't need probable cause. But we're going to look into that. That's what I hear some of these officials say without naming names. You can read my op-ed though. And I don't want this to fall by the wayside because someone told us they're going to look into something. And that, yes, we understand you have policy recommendations and we think they're good. We want to make sure that there is follow through. And so as I say that to you tonight, I want you to hold MoGo accountable with making sure that there is follow through by that particular agency. Because if we are going to hold government accountable, I want you all to hold us accountable in the work of holding government accountable. Mr. Cruz, I want to thank you for allowing us the chance to make some change on that front and for trusting us with that. And I want to thank the public defenders who work with us when I call and I say there's a community member, because again, it takes a village. And although we don't necessarily do criminal work, and this is what Mr. Cruz talked about, we have relationships with attorneys and especially public defenders, and we value that and we honor that. And so we consider you partners in the work as well. And so let's do the work together. Now, that being said, we've talked about how MoGo can't do the work alone, and I certainly can't. So you've met some of my team members and you've heard from some of our partner organizations and you've heard from community members. But there's one person that I would love for you to meet because she is the glue at MoGo. Her name is Diane Kim, and she is the Director of Systems and Sustainability. How are you doing tonight, Diane?
I am so happy to be here. Obviously, super blessed. I'm healthy and happy and safe and just super honored to be a part of Team MoGo.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to give you the floor and I'm going to dip on out of here.
Awesome. Hi, everyone.
I put Andrea on. She wasn't expecting that.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Diane Kim, and I am the Director of Systems and Sustainability here at MoGo. And I have the honor of working very closely with Genevieve, the staff and partners, some of whom you've just met today, and especially our volunteers to design, support, and document MoGo's legal and non-legal advocacy efforts. So let me take a moment to just talk a little bit about the difference between legal and non-legal advocacy. MoGo is an impact litigation organization, which means that we use lawsuits to bring about policy change. But that's not the only way we make change happen. As we fight in the courts to make sure everyone has equitable access to government, we must always be working just as hard to strengthen and amplify our community voices. Our non-legal advocacy is all about community empowerment, and you've heard Genevieve talk about that. That is our foundational core value. And it's the biggest privilege that I have at MoGo to collaborate with our team, our amazing community partners, and other members of the community to develop empowerment resources like our Know Your Rights teach-ins that increase the power we all have as a community of advocates. So as a former educator of 15 years and someone who super geeks out about being human-centered in design, I'm really excited to help MoGo become a repository of resources and designed a repository of resources designed alongside the community and and in response to the needs identified by the community. So I'm so excited for our journey of becoming the community empowerment resource hub for all those who wish to empower themselves and others as community advocates.
Thank you so much, Diane. I really cannot overstate how important you are to the work that we do at MoGo. You are our bridge to the community in a lot of ways. You orient our law students, all of our volunteers. You are running the ship. And I just want to thank you so very much. And I want you to look into those comments because you got a lot of go Dianes in there. And that's how I feel. So I just want to just thank you so much for being a part of the team, because certainly I can't do the work without you, without Connor, without Brandon. And we are so much a family. And so thank you so much for joining forces with us and bringing all of your expertise. And while I'm thinking about it, let me go ahead and put this on the screen. This is one of our wonderful student MoGo Vos, Sophia, saying, yes, Diane. And I want to give a quick shout out to our board members. And Dave Myers is here, and he's also just singing your praises. I don't know if you can see the comments there, but we have a wonderful board. And I always tell people that we have a working board. It's 98% of the time. I haven't done the calculations, but it's about 98% stacked with attorneys. And it's hard to say that you work with good people when most of them are attorneys, because people don't think that attorneys are good people. But I do believe that we are good people working for the good. And so I just want to take the time to thank Scott Dreyer, to thank Dave Myers, to thank Corey Briggs, and to thank Andrea St. Julian, who we heard from. And by the way, I do want to say this. I didn't mean to bring Andrea up on the stage. I was trying to remove myself, but people actually call us twins. So now maybe I just gave the proof that Andrea and I are twins, because I mistook her for me and clicked her box when I was supposed to click mine. But guess what? You can't have some sort of event like this without some technical glitch. So there we have it. We make mistakes. We're all humans. Diane, thank you for everything that you do. And when I make mistakes, you still make me look really good. So thank you.
Well, I'm so proud and glad to be a part of this and have the awesome leadership that MoGo has. Like I'm just going where we follow.
Thank you. All right, everyone, we're getting close to that time that I told you to make sure you had dancing shoes for. Before we do that, however, I want to make sure that I honor some of our partnering organizations that are also our sponsoring organizations. And so with that, I am going to salute the ACLU for being a sponsoring partner organization, gold tier, and IVC Media. They're helping us to celebrate 1 year of community empowerment. They're a sponsoring partner organization at the silver tier. And if I can just say that one of the projects that MoGo was working on and will continue to work on, as I think about IVC Media and the work that they do, is ranked choice voting, making sure that we actually make sure that all voices are heard when we talk about folks who want to represent us in government. And I believe that ranked choice voting is a way to do that. That may be a little controversial, but when we're talking about an equitable democracy, we have to talk about making room for candidates who don't necessarily have all of the connections or the name recognition, but they have the heart and they have the passion and they can do the work.